Joining us now is Prince William County Chairman of Supervisors, Corey Stewart. He's also a candidate for the nomination for the Republican spot for Lieutenant Governor. Corey, great to have you with us.
Thanks a lot, John. Great to be on your show again.
Corey, Jim Riley, a veteran campaign finance lawyer with over 2 decades of experience and now the editor of Virginia Verticon. He's done a pretty extensive investigative report. He was on our show earlier today, and he claims that Corey Stewart or someone in the Corey Stewart campaign is ultimately responsible for producing and disseminating anonymous negative attack ads that are illegal in the state of Virginia. So my question is, Mr. Chairman, did you or anyone in your campaign have anything to do with the negative ads that have been run against Delegate Scott Lingenfelter and businessman Pete Snyder?
No, absolutely not. We did not do those ads. And I would also note that Jim Riley, I've known him a long time, is a good guy. He's a smart guy. But he also is a supporter of Scott Lingenfelter. And there's all kinds of accusations. All these things have come out after I got the endorsement of the Tea Party Patriot Federation on Monday. I'm clearly in the lead in this race, and so all the knives are coming out. I've been accused of virtually everything. There's a new attack every day, and then even when the attacks on my opponents come out, then they're blamed on me, and it's just kind of crazy because everyone knows that if you're in the lead, the last thing you do is want a negative campaign. You don't run negative ads. You don't do any of that. So we not only did we not do that, we have no interest in doing that. The so-called evidence is that he's traced these videos to a gentleman named Lee Bond, and Lee Bond apparently spent some time with Prince William County government, so therefore it must have been me because I'm chairman of the Board of Supervisors for Prince William County. Well, as it turns out, as I've understood it, Lee has done a lot of work for a lot of candidates in Northern Virginia in particular, so this is just really flimsy, and at the end of the day, it's a bunch of nonsense. We got to stay focused on the issues that people really care about.
Okay, so if I understand, Mr. Chairman, what you're saying is that, as you said, these videos, these ads in the mail and videos, they've been traced to Lee Bond, and he was a former employer of Prince William County. But what I understand you're saying is you had nothing to do with Lee Bond or anything else. Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
And is Lee Bond, is he with your campaign? Has he ever been with your campaign? Is he affiliated with anybody in your campaign?
No, Lee has not done any work for the campaign. He's, I know him. I mean, when he worked at the Prince William County government, and he's a nice guy, but he's not been a part of my campaign.
Okay, now, before we get off this, let me just ask you something else, because you did talk about Jim Riley. And also I had on my show yesterday Sean Kenny, is the political editor of Bearing Drift. I mean, he's a pretty solid guy, and he put right up on his top of his column, illegal negative ads traced back to Corey Stewart. So are you also saying that what he put up there in his column is also...
He takes his conclusion from Jim Riley.
Right.
So he hasn't done any separate analysis. These guys are they're taking rumors and spreading it out like it's fact. And obviously it's disturbing to me, but Sean's he's a good guy. But remember who he's supporting. He's a big supporter of Pete Snyder's. And so I mean, look, at the end of the day, the convention's coming up very quickly. That Tea Party Federation endorsement, put me in the lead, put a bullseye on me. All the other campaigns know it, and so the knives are coming out. So
now let's get to that, Mr. Chairman. You got the big Virginia Tea Party Patriots and Middle Resolution endorsement on Monday. Is that a game changer for you in this race?
It is. We from our numbers, we knew we were ahead prior to the endorsement of the Tea Party Patriot Federation. but the numbers really started moving very quickly, dramatically, and after that endorsement, we're clearly in the lead at this point. And but you know, if anyone who knows me, I take nothing, leave nothing to chance. We're going to swim hard all the way to shore, and this has helped tremendously, and I'm really proud of it. Now, one little background on that: all 7 candidates worked to try to get that endorsement of the Tea Party Patriot Federation. All 7, and they did extensive vetting. They looked at not only did they interview us and look at our backgrounds and so forth, but they asked for detailed information about our campaigns, our organizations, how much money we've raised, our ability to win, and it was an extensive vetting process, and I came on top of that, and that's just a huge, huge deal.
Now, there has been many members or people affiliated with the various Tea Party groups in Virginia who have complained about the vetting process, said that they're supporting someone else, and obviously we would expect that in any sort of blanket organization endorsement process. Here's my question, though. We've had a lot of people contact us and me specifically saying, look, the Tea Party started as taxed enough already, and here's a guy that this group backed that has raised taxes a number of times as chairman of the Supervisors in Prince William County. So how do you back somebody that's got a record of voting to raise taxes? Mr. Chairman, how do you respond to that?
Well, the fact is I haven't raised taxes. And what I'm so proud of here is that this vetting process was so extensive that they looked behind allegations, they looked behind claims that the candidates were making. They did take an extensive review, and this is what they found. When I ran for office the first time as a district supervisor 10 years ago, I signed the Prince William Taxpayers Alliance Pledge. I've held to that pledge. In fact, I've done better than that pledge. I've kept tax bills during my term as chairman absolutely flat. When I was elected as Occoquan supervisor, I opposed and voted against every single budget. By the way, I was absolutely vilified for those votes. It was, and then when I became chairman, I started cutting substantially. 320 government positions, $143 million in spending. We brought tax bills down in a single year, 10%. We dropped them by 10%. We dropped the average tax bill in a single year by $300. Today, since I've been chairman, the average tax bills today are $3,500. When I became chairman, they were $3,500. And that was almost 7 years ago. And during that period of time, I've been able to finance $300 million worth of new roads, 12 new schools, 175 firefighters, 130 new cops, 500 new teachers. Why? Because the population was growing, but I didn't raise taxes to do it. I cut taxes, deregulated, caused economic growth, and the resulting and reduced administrative expenses and all kinds of other costs, and put all those savings into the core priorities of government. That's how a conservative government is supposed to work. That's what Middle Resolution and the Tea Parties knew, and that's why they gave me the endorsement.
So, Mr. Chairman, you're basically then the people that are saying you voted for an increase in the millage rate in the 2011 budget. I'll just take that one example. That's what people are saying. You're basically saying that that's inaccurate, or what?
Well, of course, the millage rate. Here's the deal. When I ran for office, the board at the time, 10 years ago, was claiming to reduce taxes. Why? Because they were reducing the tax rate. Well, never mind the fact that the assessed values were skyrocketing. So the net tax increase, the next bill was increasing by about 10% a year.
Right.
So when I ran for office, I ran on a truth and taxation platform. I stuck to it, and which is it's not the rate that's important. It's not your assessed value that's important. It's the rate times the assessed value, i.e., what you are paying. It is your bill that is important, and that's what I've always focused in on. What is your bill doing? And the fact is that bills in Prince William County have been absolutely flat in Prince William County. They have not gone up, and in real dollars, adjusted for inflation, bills in Prince William County have come down, so much so that average tax bills are 30% lower than the rest of Northern Virginia.
This is the John Fredericks Show. We're with Prince William County Chairman Corey Stewart. He's also a candidate for the Republican nomination for Lieutenant Governor. So I just want to get back to this, Corey, so we can bring closure to it, because the criticism you're getting on the taxes is that, yeah, the total tax bill went down, but that's because my home value went down. At the end of the day, I got a bigger tax percentage went up, but because of the economic crash, my home value went down, therefore I got a lower bill.
Well, you got a lower bill because the board set the rate lower than what than how much your assessment went down. The point is what matters? How much your bill is, or what the rate is?
Mm-hmm.
That's what matters. That's what people really care about, is how much am I paying in taxes? They don't care what your rate is. What they want to know is, what is my tax bill going to do? And that is the pledge that I took, and I've stuck to it. It's not the rate. Look, if assessments skyrocket next year, like they were doing 5 years ago, 6 years ago,
mm-hmm.
and let's say they go up by 20%, which they were doing, and if I do nothing with the rate and your bill goes up by 20%, have I kept your taxes the same? Absolutely not. I've increased your taxes unless I've been able to unless you reduce the rate. You see my point? Is that
mm-hmm.
you have to look at the bill, not the rate.
So basically what your position is that you voted for an increase in the mill, which on the surface is voting for an increase in percentage of taxes, but what you're saying is you could have voted for it to go higher based on the devaluation of homes. Therefore, according to your math, it all worked out, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, not just my math. This is the Taxpayer Alliance pledge that was worked out together with Grover Norquist Group, Americans for Tax Reform, because the truth in taxation was what was happening to the bill, not what was happening to the rate. The rate is that you're adjusting the rate every year depending on what happens to assessed values. This year, for example, the rate went down. So, and that's because assessments went up. So you're always adjusting the rate depending on assessed values.
I'm not going to quarrel with that per se, because you have. I mean, and I appreciate what your position is, but I just have to say this: at the end of the day, the value of your home went down. So the value of my home goes down. That's a bad thing for me, and that's a bad thing for anybody if the value of their home goes down. So the rate is the tax. So basically, if you voted for an increase in the mill, that's a tax increase in the mill. And so just because we went down, it went down. Hey, I've only got time for one more question. Let me ask you this, and I want to get back to this Lee Bond issue and just bring closure to it. Did Lee Bond, as we were told by Jim Riley, that he worked for your former political consultant, and that's how you guys hooked up? Is there any truth at all to that?
Well, if he's speaking of I don't know who that is. I'm not sure. I've run a lot of campaigns. I'm not sure which political consultant he's talking about, honestly.
I think he said Vince Harris.
Vince Harris. It's my understanding he used to work for Vince. Vince is well known in Virginia, especially Northern Virginia. He runs a blog, or he used to, called Too Conservative.
Right.
And Vince has done work for me in the past. He's done work for dozens. In fact, he's done work for presidential campaigns.
So is he one of your campaign consultants?
No, Vince is. In fact, one of the things you need to take a look at here is every time you run a campaign, all your former vendors and campaign consultants, they all want to take part in it. Of course, you can't hire them all, and a lot of times they get upset, and the next thing you know, you've got some retribution going on. But I mean, I don't know. I haven't spoken to Vince in a long time. But he's a good guy. He's done a bunch of work for all kinds of people, not just in Virginia but nationally.
Okay, but he's not involved with your campaign now.
No, he's not. He's not involved in my campaign.
Okay, Chairman of the Board of Supervisors, Corey Stewart, we thank you for your time today. Corey, we're out of time. For those that want more information on your candidacy, where do they go? What do they do?
All right, just come to the website, CoreyStewart.com.
Okay, CoreyStewart.com. As always, we appreciate